to our special edition of the video podcast. My name is Bobondinisa. I have a very special guest today, Johannes van Heerden. He's the CEO for Harmony's Southeast Asian operations. I'm sure you all know that we do have operations in PNG, but Johannes is going to share more about that. And quite recently, I'm sure you have heard about the 100% owned Heerden Valley acquisition, which is kind of a great achievement for Harmony. So, but more or less, we'll just engage and get to understand how do the PNG people do all of this thing. Johannes, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Boba.
Johannes, one quick question I have for you is that most people do not know who you are. Can you just share for us who Johannes is? When did you start working for Harmony, and what are your responsibilities as the CEO for Southeast Asian operations?
Yeah, I started nearly 20 years ago now in Harmony, 1998, so I'm becoming one of the real old-timers. I started as the financial manager in the Free State operations, actually lived in Virginia for quite a few years.
Whoa.
So, I mean, I'm a born and bred Harmonite. I've been part of the business for quite a while now. How I ended up in Australia and then ultimately be responsible for PNG is one of these interesting stories. I was asked at that stage by Frank and Graham Briggs to just join the Australian team for a year on secondment. Yep. And what's it now? 14 years later, I still haven't come back. So to that effect, I first reported into Ted Grabitsky, which was in charge of our Western Australian operations. At that stage, we had 2 mines in Western Australia, and Graham Briggs was in charge of our Papua New Guinea operations. Yes. I mean, ultimately, we decided that the Western Australian operations didn't fit our profile. We thought there was a lot of opportunity in Papua New Guinea, focused on the Heerden Valley development at that stage, and was also doing additional work on the Golpu project. So, when Graham became the CEO of the organization, I moved from being the chief financial officer for that part of the world, became the CEO in 2008, and, still there, we're hugely excited about the opportunities in Papua New Guinea and very glad that we acquired the rest of Heerden Valley.
Recently, I was privileged to go to PNG and had the opportunity to visit the Heerden Valley mine, which looks beautiful. I mean, the mountains, the topography, it's just a world on its own. People just have to go there to experience what I'm talking about. You decided to build a mine there. You broke a mountain and built a mine. How did you do that, and how did it all come about?
Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, all the things you're referring about, it's challenging from a mining perspective. Next time around, I'd rather build a mine in the flats of the Free State again. It is a very difficult terrain to operate in. As you mentioned, Heerden Valley is 2.5 kilometers high. We had to build a 40-kilometer road just to access the mine site. It gets 3 to 4 meters of rain every year. So a hugely challenging operating environment. Having said that, there's a very significant ore body, and the mine, as been demonstrated, will be able to produce between 180,000 plus ounces per year for the next 5 or 6 years by our investment in this stage 5 and 6. So a lot of opportunity. We see a lot of regional opportunity from an exploration perspective, but it is a challenging environment, and therefore the focus on operating discipline, safety is absolutely paramount. It's a terrain where any mistakes that you make will get punished. Yeah.
Tell me the reason behind PNG. Why did we choose PNG, and why Harmony? And you also still believe in PNG?
Yeah. We operated in Western Australia, and Western Australia is a very explored part of the world. A lot of mining companies have been operating there. It's similar to the South African gold industry. There's been mining operations in Western Australia for more than 100 years now. So very few new discoveries coming through there. A lot of hard work just to maintain your current production profile. We saw Papua New Guinea as a jurisdiction which had very attractive legislative environment, but over and above that, the geological potential of that country was just exceptional. The ore bodies that you normally find in Papua New Guinea is significantly larger and longer life than those that are there in Western Australia, and therefore we made a conscious decision to actually exit the Western Australian area and focus on Papua New Guinea. Also, the Harmony skills that we've got in South Africa is very appropriate to Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea's got similar challenges to South Africa from an infrastructure perspective, from a service delivery perspective, and we understand those challenges. We manage it really well in South Africa. We understand how to work with our stakeholders to come up with a solution to the various challenges, and that skill is very relevant and background is appropriate to the Papua New Guinean operating environment.
Yeah. Now that you're saying that, Johannes, there's a lot of skepticism, but with the experience that I can share with the viewers is that when I got there, I saw a lot of strong leadership, strong management, and within the people that work, there a lot of willingness, a lot of a sense of people wanting to achieve, wanting to produce. What can you say or can put out there to alleviate people that have skepticism about Heerden Valley?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the leadership there. I mean, we've got a lot of strong harmony people that's been integrated into that management team.
Yeah.
And the whole management team is usually excited about this opportunity to take the mine forward. As you say, we've got experience there now, some of the senior leaders that we've put into that management team. So there's a lot of strong skill sets that we've developed in South Africa that we've put into the management team there. And then a lot of the guys over there has lived through the challenges of Heerden Valley over the last few years. They've helped address the issues that came up in the past, and therefore we are very comfortable that we've addressed the risks that's in the operation, and we've put the right plans in place to manage those risks going forward, and we've got a very committed management team and workforce to deliver the outcomes that we need. And all of these things ultimately comes to the quality of the plan and the quality of the people executing the plan. And we think in both of those areas that we've actually got the right plan and the right people to make this a success.
You've mentioned the challenges that you guys have experienced, and I think some of the guys would always remember problems with the crusher, the conveyor. How is it different now? What systems have you put in place, and what guarantees do you have that those challenges you'd be able to overcome quicker and more efficient?
Yeah, I mean, one of the historical issues was, as you mentioned, the overland conveyor. I mean, this is, in the South African context, as critical to that operation as the shaft barrel. Without the appropriate level of maintenance, if you have an issue that impacts on that, we can't move ore from the one ore body, the Heerden Valley Cavalry ore body, to the Marta plant site, and the operation basically grinds to a halt. So what we've done is we've installed a new cone crusher a few years back to make sure that we get the right material that's presented to the belt. And then the other critical thing is you've got to manage your overland conveyor really well. For the rest of the Harmony people that haven't been there, this is a undulating overland conveyor, 6 kilometers long. It's got a vertical drop of about 800 meters. It looks a bit like a roller coaster ride. So it's an absolutely critical, finely tuned piece of equipment that you've got to manage really well. Stan has basically made sure that we've got appropriate protective and predictive gear in there from a maintenance perspective, so that we actually scan the belt on a continuous basis. If there's any issues that's picked up, that gets escalated, we manage that. There's proactive maintenance on that, and therefore the belt as a concern has been mitigated. There's very strict controls as it relates to the management of the quality of the belt, the repairs in there, and how we behave as it relates to managing that operation. So that was one of the key things. The other critical thing for us, of course, is safety. I mean, Heerden Valley has been impacted by fatality in the previous financial year. I mean, a huge amount of focus has gone into making sure that we've got the right critical controls in place from a safety perspective, that we do a lot of training of our people in those critical controls, verification of the effectiveness of the controls, and then coaching to make sure that everybody takes responsibility for safety. So, I mean, it's not about production and safety, it's safe production, and that's an absolute fundamental thing there. We all understand, I mean, once again, in that terrain, if a vehicle leaves a road, I mean, there's a drop off of hundreds of meters. So you've got to make sure that everything you do safely, that your interaction between equipment and people is properly managed. Once again, the terrain doesn't allow for a lot of wide open areas, and you can create huge separation between those things. So you've got to manage this on an integrated basis. And then also making sure that our workforce is comfortable to stop work and say, can we do it safer? Let's think about doing it safer. And everybody is actually therefore engaged as let's work and talk about safety.
Right. Can you just paint a picture for us? What Heerden Valley as Heerden Valley, production, its people, where do we see it in the next 5 or 10 years? Just a nice picture about that beautiful mine.
Yeah, look, Heerden Valley, as you say, it's firstly maybe as a reference point, Heerden Valley, as you would have seen, it's called Heerden Valley because it's mostly covered in cloud.
Yes.
Because of the altitude, you have a lot of rain there, the fog rolls in or the clouds roll in, and in a matter of minutes, you basically can't see 5 meters in front of you. So that's one of the challenges that we work through. As a mine, over the next 5 years, we see it as a significant producer in Harmony. It would be probably amongst the top 3-4 producers in Harmony. The cost would be very comparable to what we do at Chapong and Pakisa. So it would be a significant open pit mechanized mine that generates strong cash flows, generates a good production profile, and it's also a skill set that would be very relevant in our expansion if we look at other opportunities in Africa, whether you look at underground or open pit. I mean, we've got some really good skill sets that we've developed in that space. And then the other thing that fits in with the Heerden Valley picture and longer term opportunity is there's a potential to expand the mine life or extend mine life beyond the current timeline by another 5 years if we do cutback 7. We've got a very good exploration geological team there that's going to look at opportunities in the WOW region. So if we can discover further satellite ore bodies, we do cutback 7. Instead of potentially having a mine life that extends to 2023, we can take it up to 2028. Wow. So that'll be a long-term operation which can generate significant amounts of cash for Harmony in that part of the world. And there's a regional exploration effort then that also looks at the Kiliteki prospect that we've got there. Yes. And then also this activity is all in the Morobe province within which the Golpu project is. So it's basically talking to the strategy that we've got in growing shareholder value in Papua New Guinea.
You've got a stakeholder called landowners. Share with us, how is it that you have landowners and how is the relationship between Harmony and the landowners?
Yeah, I mean, in Papua New Guinea, 90% of the land is still held by customary landowners. So it's not privately held and it's not held by the state. And therefore, when you permit a mine, you go through a permitting process where you have to negotiate with your traditional landowners. And you agree certain benefits and compensation payments, and you also talk about employment opportunities. They are entitled to royalties out of the mine, which is then distributed at the local level. So there's a huge support for the mine because there's a direct relationship between the regional stakeholders and the operation of the mine. And that actually is a good model as far as I'm concerned. But you've got to manage those people well. That's why the landowners, which is most of our employees are also landowners. So you've actually got a landowner which is an employee. So there's a real integration of the mine into that economic activity in that area and into that society. And that's why they were so excited about the Harmony investment.
Yes.
They were very concerned with, in the previous strategy as part of the joint venture, we were looking at potential closure of the mine by June next year, putting it on care and maintenance. With this investment, we're recruiting additional employers to make sure that we can deliver the mine plan. And there's a new mine life in front of them. We looked at it and we quantified the regional benefit as about 500 million kina. Now, I mean, the kina converts 3 to the US dollar, so call it $150 million a year that's spent in that regional economy. So that's why all the local stakeholders, which most importantly is your landowners, are hugely excited about this opportunity to continue the mine. We have got a program where we are engaging with them on a quarterly basis. We've got teams of people that talk to them, that talk to what they see as regional development needs. We try to incorporate what we do as a mine with their regional development needs, similar to what we do in South Africa, local economic development plan, social and labour plan. And once again, this is where some of the lessons that we've learned in South Africa is very relevant to Papua New Guinea. empowerment, the various representation levels in your management team, your local economic development initiatives. So, there's a lot of systems and processes developed over here that's very applicable to Papua New Guinea.
Yeah. Now, does government, the actual state itself, how do they feel about the acquisition? Are they also as happy as the landowners?
Yeah, very much so. They see this as a key economic driver in the region. Papua New Guinea and the local landowners, everybody is very supportive of mining because they see that as an opportunity to improve your regional infrastructure. Some of those remote communities are very isolated. You would have seen when you've flown over there.
Definitely.
This creates an opportunity. It gives them, we're building roads, it gives them access therefore to schools, to healthcare, to the market, where they produce agricultural products. They actually now are able to take it to the market. Once again, if you don't have a road there, your ability to get your product to market is just non-existent.
Yeah.
And you saw those ladies carrying those bags of produce up and down that mountain. Yes. You've got a lot of respect for them.
I do.
So this is one of these things where the government is very happy for us to be there. We're creating a lot of foreign exchange for the country. We're paying a lot of taxes in terms of payroll taxes. And we're doing a lot of local procurement. So government is happy, local stakeholders are happy. So, a very supportive environment.
Great. Now, Golpu. Do we still have Newcrest as our partner?
Yes. Golpu is currently still in the joint venture with Newcrest. They are very excited about that opportunity, same as us. That is a different scale of development compared to Heerden Valley. Heerden Valley probably didn't fit into their portfolio as well as Golpu. They're focusing on big operations that extend for many a year. Heerden Valley is a smaller operation and therefore they were happy to exit that joint venture. But they do bring a lot of skills to the Golpu project. They've got a big block cave operation in Australia, Cadia, which is very similar to what the Golpu development would be. So we've used their mining skills in underground block caving to develop the Golpu block caving concept. So there's a lot of synergies in working together in that development still.
Your last comment, what would be your aspiration and your commitment that you're making to, say, the market, the ones that are skeptical, and to just the viewers of Harmony?
Yeah, a lot of things have been said about Heerden Valley in the past. Yeah. It's similar to a lot of things that have been said about Harmony in the past.
Yes.
And, I think Harmony has proved a lot of people wrong. We've delivered on guidance. Yes. People previously said we never can deliver on guidance. I guess it's for the management team up at Heerden Valley now to deliver to our plan and to guidance. And that's the commitment of everybody on site, including the management team that I'm leading, that, we will be managing that operation in line with the plans as put forward to make sure that we deliver the outcomes as promised.
Johannes, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us. We believe you have a very strong team and continue with your strong leadership up till this far. You have our fullest support, and as you go back to PNG, just greet our fellow Harmonites that side, and we hope to see them again. Thank you very much, Johannes.
Thank you very much, Babo. I will do that.
We would like to hear your comments and your suggestions on how we can improve the show. Also, if you've got any suggestion of which executive or any of the leadership management you would like to be interviewed in our video podcast, please send all your comments to connect@harmony.co.za. Thank you very much for viewing and for listening. Join us again next time for the next video podcast.